Life is full of chance moments, and I feel like the next DJ and I are always on the same path, as I have run into her numerous occasions, whether it's at a Travis Scott concert, in geology class, on Speedway, or at the station. I'm always running into Ariel. I remember I was working on my in-state app over the summer, in the station when I got the good news that I was finally an in-state student. I just had to tell someone. I told Ariel. She has been there for me no matter what, even driving me to PT most recently while I was learning how to walk. She's just a rock, and she's so caring, such a genuine person, a heart full of gold. I know that she's going to kill it this year because I've seen her mature and grow, maximize her potential. I miss her energy and our wonderful discussions about life. And of course, I miss her show, which is why I asked her to come back on one last time and do something she's always wanted to do, an Italian disco version of her show. So without further ado, enjoy DJ Ariel's French Kissing Hour.
Hi everyone, my name is Ariel Petrie-Young, aka DJ Ariel, aka DJ Marseille. I hope you've been enjoying Renos' final show. I am very honored to be a part of this experience for him. It's such a large part of the KVRX DJ life, and it's very fun. And Reno is such a vibrant and well-beloved part of our KVRX community, so I'm happy to participate for him. So thank you, Reno. Before we get started with the songs I have, I'll spend some time talking about myself and my experiences, and then we'll keep the show going. So I was the former station manager of KVRX from 2019 to 2020, and it was a very gratifying experience. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that DJs don't see when they're playing their shows in the booth or hanging out at the station, such as the administrative responsibilities and logistics that go into operating a radio station. For example, advertising. I had no understanding of advertising before joining KVRX, and then after being station manager, my understanding of advertising grew exponentially. And I appreciate the work that the advertising department does so much for Texas Student Media that supports our operating costs and allows us to thrive. Additionally, there's a lot of thought that goes into the brand and partnerships and how do these opportunities shape the vision that we want to pursue for KVRX and our mission statements. So a lot of thought gets put into the shows that we put on, the business ventures that we pursue, and etc. And additionally, since KVRX is a part of Texas Student Media, we have a very strong relationship with the Moody College of Communication. So there's a lot of thought that goes into the opportunities that KVRX has with the communication school and being a vibrant part of that scene to make sure that students have professional and personal development within that part of the university, as well as other parts of the university as well. I was not even a communication student. I was in liberal arts. So we welcome all different types of students, but there's a lot of attention to detail and opportunities that come and are discussed that regular DJs just don't see. So overall, even though I was in charge of over 200 DJs, it was very much worth all of the time and energy. It never felt like work to me because I was always with my friends, and I mainly wanted to support students during their experiences at college and make sure that they had the most fulfilling and opportunities to grow and push themselves to learn about new music and friendships and life and stuff like that. So it was well worth all of the work. Some intel on me now. I'm in grad school at UT. I am a PhD student in political science. I love it. I'm learning a bunch of new things, like how to run experiments and be a political scientist and do statistics. And I also keep music into that as well. Music is always in my front pocket, not even in my back pocket. And speaking of that, I listen to a lot of pop music now, which is kind of different than when I was in KVRX. I'll always be a hardcore girl, like hardcore every day, always. But it's a little hard to listen to when I know that me and my friends aren't able to go to house shows. Like I just can't pick up the phone and take a lift to someone's living room and see a punk band and get my feet stomped on. It's cool, but I have to listen to other things for now. And with that being said, I think right now in my music journey, I've arrived at the point where I firmly believe that no one is above or too good to listen to anything. Like, if you like something, you like it. And if I want to go listen to Dua Lipa, then I'm going to listen to Dua Lipa because it's good. And there's nothing wrong with that or liking it. So the best social I went to in KVRX, I've probably said this before, but it is the final hurrah that we had for the class of 2019 at the end of the school year. I literally talk about this party, this function, often, maybe like once every 2 months, because it was so much fun. And it was like the definition of the last hurrah with all of my friends. I didn't go to sleep until like 5 a.m. the next day. We were standing in the front yard at like 4 o'clock in the morning, still having fun, which is very on brand for me and my friends. So that was a high point, a high watermark. And the advice for new DJs that I have would be to don't be afraid to make new friends. It's hard at first, but it'll take a little bit of vulnerability and patience, but eventually you'll get up there and you'll start making your steps up to building those relationships. Also to push yourself and learn and have an attitude that's open to just learn as much as you can, because you're not going to have the opportunity that you have now in college to devote as much time to music and music discovery. So really use it and take advantage and just find a rabbit hole and just fall down it and then let it guide you to new things. Yeah, so where can people keep up with me? I don't have a website or anything like that. So if you want to talk to me about political science research or music or writing or reading about music or not music, just hit up someone in KVRX and they'll be able to point you in my direction. So thank you. And now we'll get started with the music. I will be playing Italo Disco and New Wave. And you might be wondering, what is Italo Disco? That's a great question. Well, it's kind of not great, to be very honest with you. So disco started to decline in the early 80s, and Italians had to rely on imports, which were expensive. So Italian producers started making their own to get around this. And in doing so, basically some Italian producers were pretending to be English or American and use English-sounding names to produce these Italian disco records. And that's how Italo Disco started. So I'll start off by playing some old Italo Disco, move into some of my favorite French New Wave, and then close out with a couple of artists from a modern electronic pop Italo Disco record label called Italians Do It Better, and I'll talk about that later. So first off, we have Sonia with Sur ma musique.
Midi bas, midi haut, midi tas de jolis mots, midi fleurs, midi pleurs de bonheur. chose-là, un sentiment secret, d'accord, un sentiment qui hurle fort.
What you just heard was Ouragan by Stephanie, and before that was Sur Ma Musique by Sonia. I can't find much intel on Sonia, but there is a video of a performance of her on YouTube performing the song that's scuba diving and beach themed, which is kind of interesting. And some intel on Stephanie is that she was the daughter of Grace Kelly, Princess Stephanie of Monaco, and she made music. Her early stuff was a hit in the 80s and overseas, but her later work did not really translate, and Ouragan was part of that, and that's French for hurricane. Up next, I have a couple of more Italo disco / new wave 80s songs, and I'll keep the show going.
Chaussures longues de murettes, et l'homme s'enferme sans attitude, compte à rebours sa solitude.
you just heard was Time by Koto, and before that was Johnny Johnny by Jeanna. Johnny Johnny was in French, and Koto was a teledisco. That's really the genre in a nutshell. Something about it, it's quirky. I will say that. It's quirky. Next up, we have À la vie, à l'amour, and that means to love, to life, by Jackie Quartz. And then we'll get into two of my favorite new wave songs in French.
Depuis la nuit des temps, la haine, la guerre. On est si peu de choses dans l'univers. Comment faire pour s'aimer, se regarder dans un monde aussi cinglé? Leurs champs de fleurs et leurs livres sacrés, traverser les rizières jusqu'au grand fleuve salé, sans un mot, sans un cri, ils ont fermé leur visage de miel, les yeux mouillés de pluie, les mains tendues vers le ciel, un peu plus près des étoiles, au jardin de lumière et d'argent, pour oublier les rivages brûlants. Un peu plus près des étoiles, à l'abri des colères du vent, à peine un peu plus libre qu'avant. Au pied des murs de pierre, ils ont brûlé leurs dragons de papier, refermé leurs paupières sur les chenilles d'acier. Eux qui croyaient vieillir en regardant grandir leurs enfants, à l'ombre du sourire des bouddhas de marbre blanc, un peu plus près des étoiles, au jardin de lumière et d'argent, pour oublier les rivages brûlants. Un peu plus près des étoiles, à l'abri des colères du vent, à peine un peu plus libre qu'avant. Il parle à demi-mot, à mi-chemin entre la vie et la mort, mais dans leurs yeux mi-clos, le soleil brille encore. Une île de lumière, un cerf-volant s'est posé sur la mer. Un vent de liberté, trop loin pour les emporter. Un peu plus près des étoiles, au jardin de lumière et d'argent, pour oublier les rivages brûlants. Un peu plus près des étoiles, à l'abri des colères du vent, à peine un peu plus libre qu'avant. Un peu plus près des étoiles, au jardin de lumière et d'argent, pour oublier les rivages brûlants. Un peu plus près des étoiles, à l'abri des colères du vent, à peine un peu plus libre qu'avant.
So that was Plus Près des Étoiles by Gold, and before that was À la vie, à l'amour by Jackie Quartz. Gold is one of my favorite 80s bands that I found while I was doing my French show at KVRX. It was called French Kissin', and one day I did an 80s show, and I did that a couple of times, and I found gold in that process. And I read somewhere that they were considered basically the French version of Toto. For any of my fellow Toto fans out there, I feel for you. I am with you. I like Rosanna, okay? And I do still like Africa. But gold is definitely like in that French umbrella. And I spent a lot of time in Jester, Sweet Jester West Dormitory, dancing to Plus Près des Étoiles and the next song, Confidence pour Confidence. So thank you to my roommate for dealing with me for that. And some things also do not change. So next we have my probably, let's say my favorite French song that I found. Definitely not from the modern era, from the 80s. My favorite French song I found while doing French kissing. It's called Confidence pour Confidence by Schultheis. He is a Moroccan-born French singer, composer, pianist. He's an incredible musician. And the song was pretty well liked in the 80s in France. And it's really, really fun. It's kind of like a love song, but an anti-love song. Listen, I belt this one out anytime. I still know all the words. Still know every single one. So I hope you enjoy this one too. Here is Confidence pour Confidence. heard was Confidence pour Confidence by Schultheis, and I mentioned previously that it's one of my top favorite songs that I found while I did French Kissin', and I threw in that song and the Gold song by the French version of Toto, essentially, to include the fact that Italo disco didn't have these very hard and fast boundaries. It existed within this 80s scene of pop and dance music, so that's why I threw in some new wave songs there, as well as the pop sensibilities, just to give a more holistic picture of how Italo disco kind of functioned within this time period, and to continue giving a more well-rounded picture, I wanted to provide some insight as to where Italo disco is now. So the last two songs I'll play are off of a record label called Italians Do It Better. This label has been around for maybe the past 10 or 15 years, I want to say. It's headed by Johnny Jewel, who is this musician. He is this musician who he composed the Drive soundtrack and does a lot of electronic and pop and new wave stuff, and he's involved with all the artists on the label, such as Chromatics and Desire. So yeah, I have some songs off of there because Italians Do It Better. I didn't think of them at first to include Italo disco, and then I realized, like, wait a second, they actually have some stuff. So I hope you enjoy these last two songs. It's been a pleasure participating in this and reliving some of my French Kissin' dreams. So with that being said, I will keep the party going. Here is Higher by Orion.
Sentimentale, sans complaisance, au bout du fil. Tirage en croix, destin croisé, pas si facile. Ce qui se cache devant toi, je te dirai. Par les couloirs de ton esprit, tu vois, je vois. Au bout du téléphone, je te devine. T'imagines.
Pas si facile.
Ton intimité, tu dévoiles.
Je te dirai.
C'est pas facile de tirer un trait. Ce qui se passe en toi. Tu te perds dans les bois, et moi je cherche, tu vois. C'est toi-même, tu ne sais pas.
Au bout d'un temps, tu vois, toi-même, tu ne sais pas. Qui se cache en toi. Qui se cache en toi.
Trahison triangulaire professionnelle. Les futurs proches, tu te questionnes, t'abandonnes. T'abandonnes au bout du fil. Tirage en croix, destin croisé, pas si facile.
Pas si facile.
Tirage en croix, destin croisé, pas si facile.
Pas si facile.
Au bout d'un temps tu vois.
Tirage en Croix by Mixte, and before that was Higher by Orion. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed some taste of Italo disco and French new wave and pop music from the 80s and today. And beyond that, thank you, Reno, for being who you are and such an amazing part of KVRX and one of my dearest friends. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of the programming to come and KVRX in the future. Take care. Thank you. Bye.